Hello there, Star Wars fans. Today we're going to be going over some very interesting Palpatine lore from the Plagueis novel. I'm going to have a lot more lore videos on this novel, on this topic, different topic, but same novel, Palpatine Plagueis. The book is just filled with very interesting stuff. But today, we're going to be going over the story of how Palpatine used the Force for the first time as a teenager. It's a pretty brutal story, but it shows just how cold and evil Palpatine was for really his entire life. So if you're into more lore videos, subscribe, hit the like button. It means a lot. Comment, leave a comment. If you read the novel, what was your favorite part? If you're gonna read it, let me know. And yeah, it was really good to go through. I'm going through it again just to determine, what videos to make, and this is just one we gotta talk about. So, Palpatine using the Force for the first time and killing his family. It's brutal, but it's an excellent piece of lore in the Star Wars universe. It is technically Legends, because the Plagueis novel is Legends, but we can consider it canon, right? Just between me and you. Anyways, we begin the story as young Palpatine is being removed from his home world of Naboo. It's by his father against Palpatine's wishes. His father has essentially decided that Palpatine is spending far too much time with friends on Naboo that he shouldn't be. Basically, he's made friends with aliens instead of humans, including a man called Ego Damask, a Mun, from Monolist, the Mun species. We see one of them in Attack of the Clones. He's one of the separatist leaders. The Mun species is in charge of the banking clan. And that's where Ego Damask, Darth Plagueis, comes from. And unknown to both Palpatine and his father, Damask is Darth Plagueis, who has been pulling these strings, basically hoping for something like this to happen, hoping for Plagueis' father to remove him from the world, hoping that might set him off. But Plagueis purposely, he got caught spending time around Palpatine, again because he knew it would lead to this confrontation between Palpatine and his father. He was pulling the strings for this, a skill that Palpatine would later pick up for himself, as we all know. And of course this worked, and while on the family ship, taking Palpatine away from Naboo, he broke. He kind of got into a screaming match with his father, where Palpatine sounded much more arrogant and was just letting everything loose that had built up throughout his life. The fight escalated until his father basically accused him of being evil and said, "You've always had murder in your heart, you're just waiting for permission to use it." And Palpatine coldly replied, "I don't need anyone's permission." His father called him an animal there, and said he should have killed Palpatine as just a child. Palpatine said, "Well then you better do it now." So, naturally, his father took a step towards him with murderous intent on his mind, and Palpatine did it. He used the power he'd always had felt inside of him. It was just waiting to escape, and now was the perfect time. Palpatine threw his father across the room, using the Force, the power inside of him, then slammed him to the floor as he tried to call for the guards on the ship. As the hatch eventually did open, revealing guards, his mother, and siblings, he threw one of the guards across the room with insane strength and yelled, "We're all in this now." He proceeded to kill each and every one of his family members, each and every one of the guards, with the Force liberating himself from his family, which is something he'd wanted to do, and he needed that final push. And his father yelled something kind of interesting while this was going on, something I might cover in a different video. He said, "If it was the Force that created you, then I curse the Force." And Palpatine was like, "Yeah, me too, man." And it kind of put something in my head. Did the Force create Palpatine the same way the Force created Anakin? I think so. I think the answer is yes. As the Jedi were kind of at the height of their power at this time, there were seemingly, in their mind, no Sith Lords. The Force was extremely unbalanced in the light side. Palpatine is created. The same way that with Plagueis trying to mess with midichlorians and, trying to become immortal, the Force created Anakin to help balance out the light, help balance the Force. And, of course, ultimately, he did. It, didn't go according to plan, but the Force was balanced. But anyway, got very sidetracked there. But Palpatine, on the ship, killed each and every one of his family members and all of the guards to liberate himself, in his own mind. And when this happened, across the galaxy, a vast feeling of darkness overwhelmed the one remaining Sith, Darth Plagueis. Again, Plagueis had been getting along with Palpatine very well. I made a recent video on the first time that the two met, and why Plagueis became basically obsessed with him. Palpatine was extremely power hungry, and Plagueis loved that, so go check that video out. It was really interesting. Yeah, I love doing that one too, but this one, Palpatine used the Force for the first time. It was insanely dark, and Plagueis sensed it, felt it, and it just kind of knocked him down, took him aback, really overwhelmed the Sith. Palpatine unleashing this power was far from anything that Plagueis even expected. He had thought, maybe Palpatine has the Force, but he wasn't 100% sure. He also wasn't sure at all that Palpatine carried this exceptional power. He immediately made arrangements to meet him and organized a cleanup of all of the evidence, ridding Palpatine of any wrongdoing, basically, and he was just free to go. Now, we're going to get into more videos, more lore explaining how the Sith training went down, how it all began, but this was the moment Plagueis realized he, Palpatine, was the guy, the next Sith in line. And Plagueis wasn't a firm believer at all in the rule of two. He wanted to expand, wanted to basically just create the Sith army, just have Sith take over, tear down the Jedi from the inside, similar to what Palpatine did. But Palpatine was more of a believer in the rule of two. But Plagueis, he didn't really want to take on an apprentice. Of course, Palpatine's power made him change his mind. But that's the story on the first time Palpatine really used the Force. It wasn't the first time he'd felt the Force, just the first time he'd truly acted upon it. And, after this point, there was no going back at all. This was unleashing the animal, the rage inside of him, and killing his family, just to free himself. He didn't want to argue any longer. He hated his family, thought, he was just better than all of them. And, he was, but, he's also extremely evil. But yeah, let me know what you think. I very much enjoy doing these lore videos. I enjoy doing all the videos. I appreciate you if you made it at this point. Let me know in the comments. And I'll be like, hey, congrats. Anyways, appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.